welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast, the space where hustle meets heart and business is more than just the bottom line. I'm your host, Sana, and listeners, today we are diving into the winding road of success, the highs, the hard lefts, and the moments where you are just not sure if you will make it. And joining me is Jeff Peterson, a powerhouse entrepreneur, real estate investor, community leader, and author of Are We There Yet? A guide to conquer every twist and turn on the journey to success. Now, listeners, let me share a bit about Jeff with all of you. With over 30 years of experience across multiple industries, from real estate and construction to salons and restaurants, Jeff's story is not just one of grit, but one of grace in the grind. He's also an Ironman athlete and a marathoner, so he knows a thing or two about endurance, both in business and life. And in today's conversation, we'll unpack the key principles from his book and explore what it really takes to thrive in today's unpredictable world. So, with that, Jeff, welcome to the show, and hope I was able to rightfully introduce you to all of our listeners.
Yes, that was very good, Sana. I appreciate that, and I'm glad to be here. Really looking forward to this. I know we had to reschedule one time, and
Yes.
I was so hoping that we could reschedule quickly and get this in. I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and they are very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your kind words. And let's before we talk about the book, let's talk about your journey, Jeff. Um, you know, when it's really difficult to write a book and then probably a summary of your journey or something which you would like to share with the world. So probably there is a story behind that. So if you can share a glimpse of that journey, what motivated you to write this book?
That is a hard one to answer exactly, but I always thought I had a book in me just from different experiences that I've had over the years, and I think that's true of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
How I've actually got there, though, was these days I'm driving back and forth. I'm commuting from Cary, North Carolina to the beach, which is a little over 2 hour drive. So I have a lot of downtime while I'm driving. And when I get tired of, thinking about business, I start thinking about my journey. And then I started dictating different parts of the book. And that's how it actually started. And so I got more and more excited about doing that. And it was kind of more to educate people and
Mm-hmm.
show them how they too could do, or to be successful, but also to relay back to my children the journey that I started with and how I started.
That is interesting, Jeff. And talking about your book title, Are We There Yet? It is such a relatable metaphor. It's kind of a self-introspective question. Sometimes I do ask myself, am I there yet? Or do I even know what exactly am I looking for? Something like that. So what inspired this concept, and how does it reflect the entrepreneurial mindset you have cultivated over your journey across so many industries?
Thank you. It really has two meanings. And are we there yet? The first one, and the one that stuck with me when I started the book, I came up with the title immediately. The subtitle was a little bit harder, but I can remember over the years when my children were small, we would drive on a trip. And if the trip was anything over an hour, I was bombarded with questions every 5 minutes. And every one of them said, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" So that kind of led me to say, this is what I want the title of the book to be. But of course, the metaphor would be, are we there yet on our journey in business and life and family?
Wow, that is so relatable because uh I mean I used to ask this question every time to my father, whenever he used
Yes.
to, for a journey 6 hours long, 12 hours long, I used to bombard my dad with questions. how much more time is going to take? Are we there? Had we reached? Have we reached? And he used to just tell me, okay, just go to your mom. I don't want to answer your questions. So that is really, really wonderful, Jeff. Okay. So let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. I mean, so many sectors, constructions, salons, real estate, um, athlete. I mean, that is really, really impressive, Jeff. So, um, what exactly? I mean, did you did you have this in mind from the beginning that you would diversify in so many sectors, or it just happened with the flow? I mean, what do you think is kind of the success mantra here?
I think with me, it was more a journey of opportunity. So that being said, I never, went started out to open an upholstery shop or open a salon or go into the restaurant business. It was
Mhm.
more, it came along and I felt like I could do it and it fit with what I was doing at the time. My real passion, of course, has always been real estate. So anything that I do with my businesses, I also have to control the real estate. So they go hand in hand in that I just don't do real estate, but I will
Mhm.
never do a business without also controlling the real estate.
Hmm. Wow. So how do you manage all of them together? I mean, I'm very sure you must have a wonderful team out there who is, managing everything for you, or is it other
Yes,
thing?
I have a great team, and let me tell you, that's a big focus of my book is working with family members. So right now, as of today, 4 of my 5 children actually work in the business in various sectors. So they either work for me or have worked for me, or they're partners in the different businesses. So that has worked out very well for me, and I take it as a point of pride that my kids mostly still want to be around me, and we don't kill each other during the process of all of that. So it's kind of evolved into that, and it was not how it was envisioned or started, but that's kind of how it has evolved.
Hmm. And as you mentioned about evolved, real estate, right now we are in a complete digital age with AI and everything. And you have you have been into this when I guess there were no AI or social media or anything. So what kind of comparisons can you draw between, all these two different eras, and what kind of future do you see? I'm just asking because of the business perspective here for our listeners.
Yes. So I am a little more old school, I guess, because I'm old. That makes sense, right? With property to me, I know that there are a lot of people out there that do real estate and they can do it and gain a lot of knowledge digitally and using AI and some of the more, modern techniques. I do social media, but with my real estate, it has to be close to me. So, although there are amazing opportunities all over the country and different places where you can find great investment strategies and deals, with me, I like to stay local. So it has to be within a couple of hours. I need to be able to drive by the property. But there's so much value now in what you can learn and what you can glean on the internet and AI and of course social media. So you kind of use all of it. But personally, I'm very local.
That is really great. And that is a really important lesson, takeaway for all the entrepreneurs, because um, the basics will remain the same. Whether it's real estate or any industry, any business out there, even if we are completely into the digital age, the basics will always remain the same. And sometimes it is good to be old school, even for the younger generations as well. So that is really, really great, Jeff. And now, coming back to your book, the subtitle, it all says it's basically a guide to conquer every twist on the journey to success. So, can you share maybe one or more than one? unexpected detour from your career that taught you a pivotal lesson and how you kept going after that?
Well, for one example, and that is highlighted in the book, and I learned a lot from this, was several years ago, I was looking to expand my upholstery business and I needed a lot of space. And so I came across an old warehouse that needed total renovation. I mean, it had never really been used for anything but an inline cookie factory. So I looked at that and yeah, I did a little bit of homework, but obviously I did not do enough homework. So what I did was I put it under contract and I had an estimate from a contractor that said that they could renovate it for, X amount of dollars. And so I made the deal and made the decision, closed
Mhm.
on it. But then when I actually went back to the contractor, the price was tenfold expense, tenfold. So I was stuck. I was absolutely stuck. Well, of course, the lesson is, do a little bit more due diligence, but
Mhm.
also how do you navigate that? How do you come out from that? And so the math didn't work, and it was a huge
Mhm.
uh, missed miss for me, I guess you would say it. But it actually, long story short, it all worked out in the end. We wound up doing a lot of the work ourselves. We pivoted and just worked and worked and worked until we finally were able to convince the bankers to actually loan us money on the project because we were 90% done with construction before we actually were able to secure any financing on that. But that was one that took several months and months of sleepless nights, not knowing how to figure it out and, just putting it all together. So that was that's a hard lesson to learn when you're doing your
Mhm.
due diligence.
Yeah, that's really, really a great advice, especially for those whose big ideas sometimes you're being met with doubt or probably closed doors right now. So thanks for sharing that, Jeff. And another very, very interesting aspect of your book is you mentioned about your early childhood experiences. I mean, when family circumstances forced you to help run your parents' struggling to back upholstery shop instead of attending college with your peers. So you kind of transformed that um, pain or kind of that guilt or feel into setting the foundation of your success. So, um, any important lesson that you would like to share with today's entrepreneurs, probably who are missing some of the foundational resilience?
I think what I would share is that it's going to be much more difficult than what you can imagine,
Mm.
but you have to start. And if you analyze all the time, you'll be paralyzed. There's an old saying that says, paralysis by analysis. And sometimes you just have to, and it's very true. Sometimes you just have to jump in and start. So with me, uh, personally, if I had if I had known all that I did not know, I would have never started. And I think that's
Mhm.
true of most small business people I know. They always come back to say they never knew how much they didn't know, and if they had, they probably wouldn't have started. So you do have to figure it out on the fly for small business anyway, and that's more what my expertise is in starting small businesses. So I think that is it's a great lesson to know that sometimes you just have to begin. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, that is great. And I'll put up a bit of a contradictory perspective here, Jeff. And some might say, they might argue that pushing through every twist or turn, it can lead to burnout or could be emotionally very taxing, especially in today's hustle culture, super competitive culture. So, how do you distinguish between persistence and overextending yourself?
That's a difficult one
Mhm.
to answer. I never felt burnt out. I always felt energized by the challenges. And I think you have to have a big enough challenge in your future that you see an end result that is going to be worth it. So the in the old saying, the juice has to be worth the squeeze, right? So you have to know that coming. Sometimes if you set a goal too small and a business too small, you can just burn out because you don't see a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Mhm, mm. That makes sense. Makes sense, Jeff. And I didn't touch upon this aspect as well. I mean, you are balancing entrepreneurship with intense athletic pursuits as well. So, um, what kind of lessons or values you are taking away from this experience as an Ironman and a marathon runner in shaping your business resilience? And what lessons from the track can be applied in the boardroom?
I actually think they go hand in hand together, especially in the endurance field, which is more what I have experience with athletically. So you have to be able to stay the course. And when things get difficult, like in many races, things get extremely difficult, you have to push through. And I always like to say that, I either have a great race or a great story because sometimes the races just don't go that well. And that's the same with business. I mean, my best stories in business aren't necessarily the ones where I just achieved something fantastic. The best stories are the ones where things went sideways, like the cookie factory, or, there's several others that things didn't quite work the way you wanted them to work, but in the end, they came out. So I think that, athletically for me, it, it helped, it helped with the pressure of running a business because it gave you something else to focus on, but it also went hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, the discipline, consistency. I think because it's not an overnight success, whether it's a workout or it's team building. I guess team building is one of the biggest, um, you know, lessons or a gift which athlete athletic, experience can definitely give. And then that endurance part, as you rightly mentioned. So great, great, Jeff. This has been really, really such an inspiring conversation. So finally, if our listeners would like to get a hold of your book, what's the best place to do that?
Well, the only place right now is on Amazon. So you can look it up. Are we there yet? And my author name, Jeffrey Peterson, which is my real name too. So you can look it up on Amazon, and and you can follow it there. It's funny when you say overnight success, which is one of these. And I just want to touch on this. I think it's one of those things that kind of stick with me when people say, "Oh my gosh, you are so lucky. You're so lucky." I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it and work your butt off for the 30 plus years, you can get really lucky too." So I don't think there's too many overnight successes. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And the main thing is when you don't feel like it, that's when your
Mhm.
real progress comes. Everybody can be motivated for a short amount of time, but you have to
Yeah.
persevere.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, Jeff. Couldn't agree more with you. Because I can draw so many parallels in the podcasting world also. I mean, uh, I mean, from the starting point, running the show and then getting on with the operational part, and then, there are so many things out there. Even if, on the outer side, people will say, oh, it's just a podcast. I mean, you are just talking to guests and releasing the shows. That's it. But the hard work, the discipline, the perseverance behind that, it is I love that. And that's where I don't feel that burnout, as you said in your case as well, Jeff. So
No, I can
thank
I can appreciate that, Sana, because I have a friend that also does a podcast here at the beach in Surf City, and watching the time and the effort that it takes to actually just put together one podcast or just just getting everything set. There's so much more behind the scenes. So I can appreciate the work that you put in on yours because it is not easy. It's not just simple like a lot of people might think.
Hmm. Great, great, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And thank you for reminding us that success is not linear. It is definitely a winding path filled with grit, grace, and a lot of growth. And really, thank you. Thank you for bringing this book out and sharing your insights. I guess it's definitely a gift to anyone who's ever asked, am I doing this right? So thank you once again.
I appreciate that. And thank you for having me. I really enjoy actually, I think I could use your words better than mine on some the way you phrase uh the way you phrase questions. I was like, yeah, I like that. I wish I had said that that way. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff, once again. Thank you. And to all of my listeners out there, go grab Are We There Yet? Take notes and remember that your journey is uniquely yours. And no matter where you are on the map, you're not behind, you're just becoming. So, until then, this is BizBlend, and I'm your host, reminding you to blend the power of business with the beauty of becoming. See you next time, and thank you.